Play the video and close your eyes. The cat and mouse game. Gus and Yak leaned back in their cozy mouse hole, the flickering warmth of the kitchen fire casting long, playful shadows on their walls. Their victory over Lucifer felt like a triumphant chapter in their otherwise challenging lives, and the knowledge that they had secured enough food for the foreseeable future made the moment all the sweeter. "That was brilliant, Yak," Gus repeated, that time with a full belly and a relaxed smile. "Using the fish to outsmart Lucifer? Genius doesn't even begin to cover it." Yak, ever the humble one, gave a soft chuckle. "Ah, it was nothing, Gus. Just a bit of quick thinking. Besides, we've got to look that out for each other, right?" Gus nodded, the bond between the two friends feeling stronger than ever. Outside, the snow continued to fall, its gentle hush contrasting with the crackle of the fire. For a moment, the world felt perfectly still, but as Gus turned the idea over in his head, a sense of unease began to creep in. "You know, Yak," he said cautiously, "what if Lucifer isn't the only threat? The cook might start setting traps everywhere, and if she catches us sneaking around, she might get rid of us for good." Yak, who was nibbling on a crumb of bread, paused and considered. "You've got a point, Gus. We've been lucky, but luck only gets you so far. Maybe it's time we came up with some precautions." "What kind of precautions?" Gus asked, his ears perking up. "Well," Yak began, his tail swishing. "Thoughtfully, we could map out the kitchen, mark all the places where the cook might put traps, and figure out the best escape routes. That way, we'll always have the upper paw." Gus's eyes widened with admiration. "That's not a great idea. We can even keep track of where the crumbs and scraps are most likely to fall." "And," Yak added, his voice taking on an excited edge, "we could build a few distractions for Lucifer, just in case he tries to come back." The two friends spent the next few days putting their plan into action. By venturing out cautiously during the cook's quieter moments, they began crafting a detailed map of the kitchen, marking every potential danger zone. They also discovered new hiding spots: an old teapot on a high shelf, a tiny crack in the pantry wall, and even a forgotten drawer that seemed like it hadn't been opened in years. One of their most ingenious ideas was to create decoys. Using bits of cloth and scraps of string, they fashioned little mice that they could leave near traps or in Lucifer's path to confuse him. Gus, who was surprisingly skilled with his paws, took charge of assembling the decoys, while Yak focused on testing escape routes. Their preparations paid off sooner than they expected. One chilly evening, as the cook was bustling about the kitchen preparing a large meal, Lucifer appeared at the window. Again, this time he was not alone. A small, scruffy stray cat had joined him, its eyes glinting with hunger. "Looks like Lucifer brought back up," Gus whispered, his voice tinged with alarm. Yak squinted at the two cats outside. "That's trouble," he muttered. "But we're ready for them. Let's stick to the plan." Sure enough, as soon as the cook opened the door to let out some scraps, Lucifer and his new companion darted into the kitchen. The two cats sniffed around, their tails swishing as they searched for any sign of the mice. "Stay quiet," Yak whispered, pulling us back into the mouse hole. "We'll let them come to us." Lucifer, determined to reclaim his dignity, prowled straight toward the mouse hole. But as he approached, the faint smell of fish caught his nose. He turned sharply, finding one of the decoy mice Yak had placed earlier. Without hesitation, he pounced only to discover that the mouse Dot was nothing more than a bundle of cloth. The second cat, meanwhile, had wandered Dot over to a corner where a mousetrap was carefully hidden. Yak watched as the stray sniffed curiously at the trap, then batted at it with its paw. Whop! The trap snapped shut. Dot, though thankfully it missed the cat's paw. Startled, the stray bolted for the door, yowling loudly. Lucifer, distracted by the commotion, turned Dot just in time to see the cook storming back into the kitchen. "You two pests!" she Dot shouted, waving a broom. "Get out of here!" With a hiss, Lucifer scrambled toward the Dot window, his tail puffed up like a bottle brush. The stray followed close behind, and within moments, both cats were back out in the snow. Gus and Yak let out a collective sigh of relief. "That was too close," Gus said, his heart still pounding. "But it worked," Yak replied with a grin. "They didn't even get near us." The cook, muttering under her breath about Dot useless cats, swept up the fallen scraps and shut the door firmly. With the kitchen safe once more, Gus and Yak emerged from their mouse hole to inspect the aftermath. "Looks like our map and decoys were a success," Gus said, his voice filled with newfound confidence. Yak nodded. "We've outsmarted them again, Dot, and now we know we can handle anything they throw at us." As the snow piled higher outside, the two mice settled back into their cozy home, their pantry stocked and their spirits high. The kitchen, for now, was theirs, a small but hard-earned victory in a world full of challenges. And as Gus drifted off to sleep, he thought Dot about all they had accomplished together. With Yak by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. After all, they weren't just survivors, they were dreamers, planners and adventurers ready to turn even the smallest of victories into grand tales of triumph. The end.